Late afternoon cast a pale golden layer over the town of Clearwater, Montana. Wind from the distant mountains swept through narrow alleys, carrying the smell of gasoline and the hint of incoming rain. Under the overpass, 16-year-old Lila Thompson, her thin jacket clinging to her body for warmth, held an empty backpack close. 3 dry, punishing days had passed since she climbed out the window and fled her last foster home, leaving behind slamming doors, suspicious eyes, and the terrible thing she refused to name. In the distance, the heavy growl of motorcycle engines rumbled. Road Guardians MC, their black Harleys lined up like a shield wall, sliced the sunset into sharp blades of light. Lila shrank deeper into the darkness, an instinct honed by years of hiding. She had learned to observe from afar, counting footsteps, memorizing plates, distinguishing between the clack of steel-toe boots and running shoes. On the red brick street, the Road Guardians clubhouse glowed with warm lights, and rock music lowered to a soft thrum. Through the back window, Lila saw Laura Dalton, hair neatly tied, leather jacket simple, expression calm, writing something at a wooden desk. A charcoal sedan slid to a stop across the street. Its lights went out. No one stepped out. A chill crawled up Lila's spine. She held her breath and watched. The car door cracked open. A tall figure emerged. Long coat, lowered hood, black gloves. His hand slipped inside his coat and came out holding a cold metallic shape. A gun. Time froze. If she turned away, she'd be safe. If she stepped out, she could die. But her father's voice, an old, ghostly memory, rose in her mind. Courage is sometimes just refusing to look away. Lila burst out of the shadows. Autumn in Clearwater always had a kind of light that made people believe in kindness. But Lila had learned, light could lie. Since the accident that took her mother and the disappearance of her father, Lila had cycled through 4 foster homes in a single year, each one a different kind of suffocating silence. This time she left because silence had turned dangerous. The road leading to the clubhouse sat between old warehouses, gray brick walls, weathered signs. To the town, Road Guardians MC were both intimidating and trustworthy. Noise, tattoos, leather vests, yet at Christmas they delivered toys. During wildfire season, they donated supplies. In winter, they served hot meals. Rick Dalton, president of the Clearwater chapter, was known for his principles. People said that if Rick made a promise, the whole pack would ride to keep it. Lila belonged nowhere except the shadows under the bridge. On the 3rd night, hunger clawing at her stomach, she walked along the damp, cold sidewalk past the clubhouse, its lights making her want to stop and vanish all at once. At the table inside the back room, Laura counted thick stacks of cash, likely charity funds for next week's children's hospital donation. In that brief moment she lingered. Lila felt something she'd forgotten. Safety. Then the charcoal sedan crept in, lights off, no movement. The wind shifted, carrying the scent of metal, rain, and danger. The man stepped out, gloves, long coat, hood, a predatory stride. His right arm lifted slightly, revealing a wrist tattoo of a coiled, flaming serpent, the mark of Viper Riders MC, a rising rival gang. He moved toward the window where Laura sat, her back facing the street. Only 3 steps left. Lila tightened the straps of her backpack until her fingers went numb. She could hear her heartbeat like footsteps splashing through a puddle. Run, or step into the light. Gun! Lila shouted, her voice cracking after days of silence. She kicked open the side door of the clubhouse. The music cut instantly. Everything happened at once. Laura leaned away. A sharp gunshot tore the night open. Glass exploded, and the bullet slammed into the wall where her head had been seconds earlier. The air was filled with dust, gunpowder, and worn leather. Two large men rushed in from the front hall. One knelt beside Laura. The other drew his handgun and moved to the shattered frame. "See his face?" "No, he ran." Short, clipped, professional. Cole Ramirez, the graying, sharp-eyed vice president, arrived. He swept his gaze over the skinny girl in a thin jacket, worn shoes, trembling hands, and eyes both frightened and defiant. "Who are you?" Lila opened her mouth, but her teeth chattered, hunger and shock clamping her throat. Laura placed a steadying hand on her shoulder. "She saved me, Cole." "What did you see?" Cole asked. Lila swallowed. "His wrist, a coiled serpent tattoo." The room fell silent for a beat. A young biker hissed, "Viper Riders." Glances darkened. Laura guided Lila into a chair, hurried into the kitchen, and returned with a plate of hot chicken, mashed potatoes, and bread. Steam rose softly against Lila's cold face, a silent rescue. Outside, engine noise thickened, waves of motorcycles arriving. Phones buzzed non-stop. Rick Dalton burst in, leather smelling of cold wind. "You okay?" he asked Laura, pulling her close and freezing at the sight of glass in her hair. Laura nodded. "Thanks to her?" Rick turned to Lila. His gaze scanned her, suspicion mixed with gratitude. "Name?" "Lila." "Why didn't you run?" Lila lowered her eyes. There was no good explanation for why a homeless girl ran toward a gun, only the truth. Her legs moved because she couldn't stand the thought of watching someone die. Rick's phone vibrated. He listened, voice flat. "Keep distance. No engagement." He hung up. "Suspect's vehicle heading toward the Viper Riders warehouse in Milton. 2 of you follow. Eyes only." Red-blue patrol lights flashed through the door. 2 officers stepped in, hands near their holsters, eyes tense as they faced over 100 leather-clad bikers. "We received reports of gunfire." Rick pointed calmly at the shattered window. "Someone fired at my wife. No injuries." Their gaze landed on Lila. "Who's the girl?" Laura tightened her grip around Lila's shoulder. "My niece," Rick added, clipped and cold. "Visiting family." Lila held her breath. If they ran her name, the foster system would drag her back to the place she swore never to return. The officers exchanged a look. They knew they'd get nothing more out of a forest of leather vests. "We'll need statements later." "We'll be here," Rick replied, voice hard as steel, as night covered Clearwater like a thick blanket, smelling of gasoline and cold air. Road guardians arrived in clusters, headlights slicing the low clouds. The clubhouse's wooden floor trembled faintly under the rumbling engines. Wrapped in Laura's old knit sweater, Lila shivered, partly from the cold, mostly from all the eyes on her. For years she had lived by being invisible. Now every gaze found her. "We're not going to war tonight," Rick declared, standing in the center of the room. "We protect our own, guard the doors, safeguard the charity fund, and make sure they know that we know." A few grumbled but nodded. Discipline was what made a pack a family, not a mob. Messages flew. Sightings near the Viper Riders warehouse in Milton. Hammer and Dog reported, "Eyes on them, no contact." Outside, the number of motorcycles grew from 100 to several hundred. Laura handed Lila a cup of hot chocolate. She cupped it with both hands, warmth creeping into her cracked fingers. Then, the door swung open. "1,000?" Lila breathed, as the street outside flooded with overlapping bikes, bodies packed shoulder to shoulder, helmets glittering under the streetlights. Rick stepped onto the top stair of the clubhouse entrance. Brothers and sisters of the Road Guardians, Clearwater chapter and beyond. His voice echoed off the brick walls. Tonight someone tried to take what's precious, my wife, the children's charity funds, and our honor. But they failed, because one girl refused to turn away. Laura gently pushed Lila forward. Rick extended his hand toward her. This is Lila Thompson. She saw the gun and ran toward us. She's not one of us. She owes us nothing, but she chose. The crowd erupted, engines roaring, voices rising like a storm. Lila felt dizzy under the tidal wave of sound, fear blending with an unfamiliar heat blooming in her chest. For the first time in years, the word home tasted real. Rick continued, She has no home, no family. Tonight, that ends. He faced the crowd. Who here can offer her work, a room, legal help, education, anything? Hands shot up like firelight. I own the diner on 5th Street. Dishwashing job, counter training. My wife and I have an attic room, warm bed, no questions. I'm an attorney, foster records, ID, legal aid, free. I teach GED classes. She can join. Lila stood frozen. Why? Why would strangers help? Laura whispered. Because this is how we live. We look after each other. Tonight, you're part of us. Dawn grayed the edges of the sky. Rick pulled out a patch embroidered with wings and the words, Guardian Angel, a rare honor reserved only for outsiders who had protected a member with their actions. He placed it into Lila's hand. In our world, actions are what count. You acted like family. First light spilled over rows of polished chrome. Police stood at the edge of the street, watching silently. They understood a separate order was at work. Cole's phone buzzed. Viper riders pulled back. No confrontation. Rick nodded. Tonight we guard the house, the people, the honor. Tomorrow morning, we walk the girl toward the sun. Lila opened her old locket, her mother's fading smile looking back at her. She whispered, unsure if it was to her mother or herself. I've been running for too long. Maybe it's time to run towards something. Clearwater's dawn was like a bowl of cold water set on a porch. Chilly, but reflecting a new face. On the clubhouse steps, Lila sat among steaming paper cups, listening to real stories. Night fire shifts, avalanche rescues, wildfire seasons. Each story was a scar with a name, a memory, a person. Laura returned with a clean hoodie and a pair of jeans that fit. The room above our garage is empty. You can stay there if you want. No conditions. Rick came with a bag of bagels, speaking as if the decision had already been made. This afternoon, Alex Grant, our attorney, will file papers so you won't be dragged back to a place that's not safe. Temporary residence, protective guardianship. We'll find the best route. Lila gripped the edge of her hoodie, looking down at the guardian angel patch pinned to her chest. Everything was happening too fast for someone who had spent night after night on concrete. What if they come back? She asked. Rick looked toward the boarded-up window. The Viper Riders are dangerous, but not as dangerous as a family that knows exactly what they tried to do. And this family is big. Engines idled outside. No one seemed in a hurry. Groups discussed walking Lila to the diner on 5th Street, meeting the owner. Others planned a small shopping run. Basic toiletries, warm socks, a notebook. Cole handed her a worn knit hat. It belonged to my daughter when she was your age. She'd like to see you wear it. The clubhouse gate opened. Lila stood. Taking the first step into the light wasn't easy, like stepping out of a safe rib cage. But she wasn't walking alone. Laura on her left, Rick on her right. Several women of the club behind her. Morning sunlight brushed the guardian patch, making it gleam. Clearwater woke slowly. Auto shop rolling up its doors, cafe steaming, diner's neon sign flickering on. The red-haired diner owner stepped out. "Lila, right? Come try the uniform." Warm laughter bounced off the glass. Someone called out, "After her trial shift, we're hitting Goodwill. Get her set up for GED classes." "I'm taking the afternoon security shift, making sure she gets home safe." At the far end of the street, a charcoal sedan rolled slowly. Rick's eyes flicked to it, memorizing the plate, before tapping out a silent sequence of messages. A soft, protective net unfolded around Lila, unseen but present. Lila looked back at the clubhouse. Last night it had been a battleground. This morning, it felt like home. Some moments define a person not by their background, but by the steps they choose to take. Lila had no relatives in Clearwater, no mailing address for Christmas cards. But when she refused to look away from a gun aimed at another human being, she touched an underground current beneath the roar of motorcycles, the spirit of protection, loyalty, and the surprising tenderness inside people who often look intimidating. Road Guardians MC weren't saints. They had scars, pasts, mistakes, but they had a rule. Whoever saves one of us is one of us. And one of us wasn't a label. It was a promise, a warm bed, a small job, a legal call, a hot dinner, someone waiting under a porch when it rains. Courage isn't the absence of fear. Courage is refusing to abandon someone. And sometimes, kindness is as loud as 1,000 engines, loud enough for a whole town to hear that goodness does not stay silent. If Lila's story touched you, share this video so someone in their own darkness might see a glimmer of light. Subscribe for more kindness stories every day, where we show how a small act can change an entire life. Have you ever seen someone refuse to look away from danger? Tell us in the comments. Your story might spark the next act of kindness,